Hey there. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I spent a lot of time creating this video for you guys. It is probably one of my favorite ones I've made so far. Today, we're gonna be looking at my favorite UFC fighters of all time. So, yeah, let's get right into this. So, my first favorite fighter of all time, I put down Alexander the Great Volkanovski. Now, there's many reasons that I tend to always root for this guy. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. He has an amazing cooking channel, and he's a very respectful and stand-up guy. So, starting off, I mean, he's just so much fun to watch. He always goes out there. He's one of those guys who isn't gonna give up. He's not gonna know he's losing 4 rounds and go out there in the 5th round and just kind of stand out there and kind of be a punching bag. No, he's gonna go for that win. Makhachev Volkanovski 1 was probably one of my favorite fights I've ever watched of all time live. He has an amazing cooking channel. So listen, guys, if a guy can cook up a nice burger, right, and then 2 hours later he's knocking people out, he's knocking someone out in front of millions of people, you're winning in life, all right? You cook up a nice steak, and then you go knock someone out in front of millions of people to watch. I mean, you're doing something right, all right? So that's another reason. And then he's a really respectful and stand-up guy. Listen, guys, he can lose a fight, right? And he'll go out there and he'll congratulate his opponent, and he's not sorry about it, all right? In one of the embeddeds, I forgot what it was, UFC embedded on YouTube, he met up with Ilia Topuria, and there was no bad blood between them. And a lot of people, they like to, play up their fights and try to get the crowd going, have it start a little bit of unnecessary beef. And Volkanovski's not one of those guys that I would see doing that, and he's not a guy that does do that. So I respect that about him. I mean, I always tend to root for him. I'm rooting for him against Diego Lopez at UFC 314. I think he's going to win that fight. I think he's going to win 2 more fights and then probably retire. But yeah, just a great guy, awesome fighter, amazing chef. So yeah, once he retires from the UFC, he's going to be a full-time chef, let's hope. So yeah, let's move on to the next guy. Alright, now my personal favorite fighter of all time, we got Justin the Highlight Gaethje. He's funny as hell. He's always cracking jokes. He goes in there, he scraps for 3 rounds to 5 rounds straight, whatever it is, and then he'll go to his corner and he'll say, he'll crack jokes the whole time to his corner, and then he'll go knock his opponent out. I mean, as a coach, like, he keeps you entertained and he gets your job done. I mean, how can you not love that? He loves a scrap. He's one of the most violent, aggressive, just most fun fighters to watch I've ever seen fight. Incredibly entertaining, and he was the one who actually got me into the UFC and MMA in general. I watched this guy fight against Michael Johnson, and I just immediately I saw him knock the guy out, and he goes up on the top of the cage and he does a backflip off of it, and immediately I was just like, that's my guy right there, Justin Gaethje, that's my guy. But yeah, so I mean, going back to the entertaining part, he has probably 4 or 5 fight of the year contenders or winners. I mean, you look back at it, you have him against Oliveira, banger. Him against Michael Johnson, banger. Him against Max Holloway, banger. Him against Michael Chandler, banger. I mean, him against Poirier both times, bangers. I mean, he just has bangers on top of bangers of fights, and you go through this guy's catalog, and this is a guy who you show them a video of him fighting, right? You show them a fight of his, and immediately they're hooked in the MMA. That's what happened with me. I saw it, and immediately I said, all right, that's my guy. I love MMA now. So yeah, that's exactly how it went, by the way. Yeah, so let's move on. All right, on to my flyweight king, Steven Erceg. Listen, guys, this guy, I've always liked him. I don't know why. He reminds me of Michael Scott from The Office, if you guys know who that is. He's fun to watch. He's always in a fun fight. I mean, you look back at some of his fights, and the Kai Kara-France fight unfortunately ended the wrong way with Steve Erceg getting knocked out. But that was a fun little fight. I mean, it was very short, but it wasn't a bad fight. And then him against Alexandre Pantoja went the distance and was an amazing fight. A lot of people thought that Steve Erceg might have won that fight. And he's kind of a bot, but in the best and most funny way possible. I mean, he's at the press conferences, and I listen, I respect this. He goes out there and he does what he needs to do. He doesn't really talk much. He doesn't talk a lot of crap. He goes out there and he fights. All right, he doesn't need all this extra crap. He doesn't need all this shit talking. He goes out there and he does what he needs to do, and I love that. And that only, he does what he needs to do, and that only. So I love that about him. And he's just a chill ass dude, guys. He's a guy who I would like to sit down with and just have a little chat. I mean, I feel like he would just be a really, really cool guy in real life. I would like to meet him someday. But yeah, guys, I mean, he's always been one of my favorite fighters. I mean, he's just a guy that you want to root for. I mean, there's no reasons to hate him. There's a lot of guys who I like, and guys who a lot of people like, who a lot of people also hate for valid reasons. Like, I personally like Sean Strickland a lot, but there's reasons why a lot of people would not like him, some of his opinions that he says, but I'm not going to get into that. But I do like Sean Strickland. But Steve Erseg, if I walk up to someone and I say, oh yeah, one of my favorite fighters is Steve Erseg, and they say, oh yeah, I hate Steve Erseg, like, what? How do you hate Steve Erseg? But that's never happened before, and I assume it won't ever, because you just can't hate the guy. But yeah, let's move on. All right, now this one's a throwback for the OGs out there. This is Tank freaking Abbott. So this one's a little bit more of a personal reason for me. I used to watch highlights with my dad, with him all the time. He's just an absolute beast, and he has KOs for days, guys. I mean, he is one of the pioneers of the sport. He goes out there. He's one of the pioneers of the heavyweight, the big boys division. He used to go out there and would just swing and throw punches and kicks and whatever he needed to. This was before the UFC had rules, had rounds, had certain rules. This was before all of that. So, I mean, he would literally just ragdoll his opponents. This is before weight classes, before rounds, before everything. So yeah, he would go out there, throw his opponents around, do whatever he needed to do to get the job done. I mean, he was just an absolute beast to watch. I mean, he is a street fighter, man. He's just, I don't know, just for whatever reason, I've always really, really liked Tank Abbott. My dad's always liked him, and so yeah, I feel like I kind of get that a little bit from my dad. I really liking Tank Abbott. Love watching his highlights. Love watching him talk. He has a little talk show now. It's not really a talk show. It's sort of like a podcast sort of thing. But yeah, I like his takes. But yeah, I would love to watch this guy fight one more time. But obviously that won't happen because he's getting up there in age. But yeah, I never actually watched one of his fights live. I've only kind of watched the highlights. But for those highlights, I mean, man, those are the reasons why I love him so much. So yeah, let's move on. All right, Khalil Roundtree Jr. Listen, Khalil Roundtree, what a guy, man. I mean, this is a guy that you kind of you have to like. I mean, it's I don't make the rules. You gotta like Khalil Roundtree. If you're a fan of this channel, you like Khalil Roundtree. Like, come on now. But anyways, guys, of course I'm just joking. But he has a great story. He was a kid with a lot of depression. He's constantly in wars. I mean, he is a fighter, man. He has crazy knockout power. I went back and I watched the fight with him and Anthony Lionheart Smith, right? And there was not a lot of fans there, or maybe there wasn't any fans. I forgot if it was in the COVID era or not. But point is, he landed 2 really, really clean punches on Anthony Smith right in his skull, and you could just hear them echo throughout the venue. I mean, it was just crazy. And then his fight with Alex Pereira, he probably gave Alex Pereira his hardest fight yet. I mean, you don't do what I think that was a knockdown when Alex Pereira went for that spinning move or whatever. I forgot what exactly it was. And then Khalil Roundtree caught him with a right hand, flush to the face. It was more of a right forearm. He kind of forearmed him in the face, but that was a knockdown. Alex Pereira dropped to one knee. You don't do that to Alex Pereira, man. I mean, this guy, he has a fight coming up against Jamal Hill. I see Khalil Roundtree knocking out Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill is coming off a knockout against Yuri Prohaska, and it's a very, very fast turnaround time for a knockout loss in professional MMA. So yeah, I mean, I find myself always rooting for this guy. I mean, his story, it inspires a lot of people. It inspires me. I mean, he's a great guy. Always respectful to his opponents, always respectful to his fans. Yeah, I don't know how you can't like this guy, but he is one of my favorite fighters for sure. All right, moving on. The last but not least, Dan 50K Ige. 2-hour notice, guys. If you know, you know. UFC 303 was supposed to be Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez, and Diego Lopez, Brian Ortega, got sick, I believe. Yeah, he got very sick 2 hours before the fight was supposed to happen. And Dan Ige said, "Guys, I'm here. I'm ready to fight. I'm here. I want to fight." He was in town, and he decided, "I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fight." So I mean, that you just have to respect him for. The second I saw that, Dan Ige, boom, he's on my list. I mean, you can't not respect, even if you're the biggest Diego Lopez. I don't care if you're Diego Lopez's mom. You gotta respect Dan Ige for doing that. He's a great guy in general. Always in entertaining fights, and he is a true warrior. I mean, the last fight that he had with Lerone Murphy, he knocked down Lerone Murphy in the first round. He just couldn't catch back up with him the whole rest of the fight, and Lerone Murphy won I believe it was a split decision or maybe a unanimous decision. Point is, Lerone Murphy beat Dan Ige in a decision victory. But that was an entertaining fight. The Brian Ortega fight was Diego Lopez fight was a very entertaining fight. I mean, this guy's not in boring fights, and that's what I love about him. I mean, he beat Diego Lopez in the last round of that fight on 2-hour notice. I mean, this guy is a guy that I will always love because of that 2-hour notice whole dilemma that happened. But yeah, I'm excited to see him fight at, I believe, UFC 314 he has a fight. So yeah. Alright guys, so that's a wrap on the video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys like watching it as much as I enjoyed filming it. This is one of my favorite videos, so let me know if you guys want to get more of these sort of opinionated based videos, like my sort of opinions instead of like my takes. I guess those are opinions too, but like instead of like predictions. Let me know if you want to get more of these like personal videos. So yeah, just leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.